You're listening to the Savage Lovecast, Dan Savage's sex and relationship show for grown-ups. If you're under 18, get out of here, young'un.
If you're stuck in a relationship quandary, or if you're looking for sexual harmony, well, there's nothing you can't ask on the Savage Lovecast.
At this point, I shouldn't have to remind everyone about my go-to Valentine's Day advice, fuck first. But if you need to be reminded, or your partner needs to be reminded, consider yourself reminded, and you're welcome. But you can remind your partner to fuck first every morning by handing them their coffee in one of our fuck first mugs while wearing your very own fuck first t-shirt, both of which can be ordered at savage.love/merch. And if you order a mug or a t-shirt today, well, you won't have them by Valentine's Day, which is on Friday. It's too late to get fuck first merch by Valentine's Day. But if you order now, you will definitely have your fuck first mugs and t-shirts in time for National Pig Day on March 1st and National Pound Cake Day on March 4th. Both fuck first appropriate holidays if you want them to be. Zooming out for a second, the existence of fuck first sex advice and fuck first merch, savage.love/merch, and fuck first t-shirts, all of that raises an important question. Who or what actually fucked first? Well, according to a story headlined, "What was the first animal to have sex?" a story that came out this morning in BBC Wildlife magazine, which I have subscribed to since this morning, the first living organisms to participate in some kind of genetic exchange of material were bacteria around 2 billion years ago. The animal that fucked first was a sea sponge 800 million years ago. Sea sponge sex doesn't sound very hot, doesn't sound anything like sex, actually. Just like modern sea sponges 800 million years ago reproduced by barfing eggs and sperm out into the water where it floated around, and if they were lucky, eggs found sperm and egg combined, and it made tiny little sea sponge larvae. Downside to this first fuck, no actual fucking as we would understand it, no touching, no oral, no orgasms. Upside, no awkward small talk after. And you can't get ghosted by a sea sponge you technically never met. Back to BBC Wildlife magazine, it would be another 500 million years, give or take 10 or 20 or 30 million years on either side, before the first vertebrates fucked. And the vertebrates that fucked first, the first vertebrates that fucked with uniquely male and female sex organs, were a species of ancient armored fish that lived in lakes in what is now Scotland and Estonia. Everything and everyone that fucks today, descendants of 2 armored fish fucking in a lake in Scotland. But sex, at the start, 2 billion years ago, defined as the simple exchange of genetic material and nothing else. So, homos. The next time you get into an argument with a homophobic relative about how sex is sacred and God created sex to bring men and women together to have offspring and that's natural law, just tell them that you're a traditionalist with very, very, very old-fashioned values. And the original natural law was organisms getting together to exchange genetic material. And you don't need one man and one woman to do that. You just need some genetic material and a place to put it. It would be fun, as someone who talks about sex for a living, to ask those bacteria how it was for them that first time. But I don't have a time machine, and even if I did, I don't speak bacteria. This is all actually a long and windy way of getting to roll out a new segment we want to do here on the Lovecast. It's a segment we're going to need a special kind of guest for, and you could be that guest. We're calling this new segment After Action Report, and what we want to do is interview someone or two someones after they've tried something new for the first time. Think of it as a debriefing. Had your first threesome? Want to talk about it? Been to your first sex party? Want to talk about it? Hell, had sex for the very first time. Got pegged for the very first time and want to talk about it? We want to hear about it. The good, the not good, the bad, the meh. How did it go? Did it live up to your expectations? Would you do it again? How would you, if you did do it again, maybe do it differently next time? It's always fun to hear about someone's first time they had sex, first time they tried something that they were dying to try for years, or the first time they stepped outside their comfort zone and tried something their partner wanted to try. Typically, though, around here on your sex and relationship advice podcasts, we only hear from people who've tried something and it went poorly. You know, that first threesome that ended in tears and a relationship on the brink of collapse, I get a call about that threesome. A first threesome that may not have been perfect because only practice makes perfect, but everyone felt good after. I don't get a call about that one. And you know what? I want a call about that threesome too, which is where Action After Report comes in. Not that after action reports have to be positive. Again, we want the good, the bad, the ugly, the meh. We're going to be doing this new segment in partnership with Field, the perfect place for people looking to try something for the very first time, to find someone who wants to try that thing for the very first time too, or to find someone who's an expert at that thing and wants to be your first time. But what we need to launch this segment are guests. So if you've tried something new for the first time and you want to talk about it, pegging, bondage, anal, non-monogamy, hell, monogamy, shoot us an email at q@savage.love and put After Action Report in the subject line, and we will get back to you, and you may be a guest on the Savage Lovecast. All right, before we start the show, quickly, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, Hump opens this weekend in U. We will be celebrating 2 decades of Hump, 2 decades of amazing, interesting, funny, hilarious, sometimes shocking porn films. It is the 20th anniversary Hump Film Festival, the world's greatest amateur porn film festival, and we have an amazing new lineup of films, plus after parties, giveaways, and tens of thousands of dollars in cash prizes for audiences to award to their favorite filmmakers. Hump kicks off next weekend in San Francisco at the Brava Theater, February 13th to February 22nd. In Seattle at On the Boards every Friday and Saturday, February 14th, Valentine's Day through March 15th. Portland at Revolution Hall, February 15th, 21st, 28th, and March 1st. For more information, for tickets, to find out when Hump is coming to a theater near you, to watch the Hump trailer that made Vimeo cancel our account, go to humpfilmfest.com now. All right, coming up on today's show, tons of your Q's, lots of my A's, and joining me on the Magnum, Mike Pesca returns. Mike is the host of The Gist, the longest-running daily news and analysis podcast in existence. It's great to have Mike back. Mike didn't know when we invited him on that he was going to be my Valentine week guest, but also my Valentine. To hear me break that news to Mike and to Mike's wife, you have to be a Magnum subscriber, which you can become now at savage.love. But Magnum sub or micro listener, we appreciate you. We're glad you're here, and we have tons of great stuff for you in this week's show. All right, let's get to the first call. This episode is brought to you by Helix Sleep, the very best mattress designed with your comfort in mind. Right now, get up to 27% off site-wide plus 2 free dream pillows with the mattress purchase. Go to helixsleep.com/savage. This episode is brought to you by Field, an app where curious people come to connect. Download Field on the App Store or Google Play and find out why so many of my listeners are already using it. This episode is brought to you by Dame Products, sex toys designed by women for women. For 20% off your first order, go to dame.com and use offer code SAVAGE20.
Hi, Dan. I have a weird problem. I'm dating a gentleman that's about 30 years older than me, and I am so attracted to him. I think he is one of the sexiest human beings alive, and we just have a fabulous connection with each other. In the last few months, however, he has gone on a bit of a quest to get in shape, and he's really hyper fixated on it, which is fine. Like, I understand, like, he wants to get healthier, he wants to, be around longer and wants to take better care of his body. But he has created this fantasy with a caveat. The fantasy being that we can go to a play party and have sex in front of other people. I find this incredibly sexy as an idea, but in his mind, or in the way that he phrases it, he can only do it once he gets to a certain physique. I find that unattractive. And the more he talks about it, the more he fixates on that he has to be tan and muscular in order to have sex at one of these play parties, the more turned off I am by the subject. I really like our sex life. We really connect really well, and I love his body as it is. I want to support him in his health goals, but I also don't know how to really breach the subject of me finding this particular hyperfixation unattractive. Also, does it make me fucked up that I really don't find muscular, tan, straight men attractive?
If he's 30 years older than you and he manages to get into the best shape of his life, to go to a play party and fucking in front of other people, he won't be in that shape for very long because age, the older we get, more quickly disassembles whatever it is that we've managed to put together. But you're allowed to love his body as it is, and you're allowed to have a preference for dad bods or whatever kind of body type his body type currently is. And you're allowed not to be attracted to cliche tan and muscular guys, jacked guys, ripped guys, the kind of guy you fear he might become. And I'm here to reassure you that even if he becomes that guy, it will not be forever, probably not even for long. You can support his health goals, and you can also be really honest with him. Like, I'm not fucking you despite your appearance. I'm not here. I wasn't initially attracted to you despite your body and a lot of other things about your personality attracted me, but your body too, you as an object, that works for me. And I think you can say to somebody like, this, whatever it is, this change you're planning to make, you need to factor in that could be kind of a libido killer for me. Like right now, you're absolutely my type. And that type you aspire to be is kind of not my type. And I think if you're in a relationship, that is, yeah, we're all free to do with our bodies whatever it is that we want to do with our bodies. But, you know, if we want the people who are currently doing things with our bodies to keep doing the things with our bodies that they're doing with our bodies, using their own bodies, their feelings, I think, have to be weighed in the decision-making process. So, yeah, you can level with him. And there's nothing wrong with you being really invested in who he is now and preferring the body that he has to the body that he aspires to have. You can take the long view, much easier when you're the younger partner, I think, sometimes to take the really long view because you're going to be around for a whole lot longer. The body he has now is the body he will have again, especially if he's only getting jacked for this one reason, to go to this sex party and fuck in front of other people. Something else that might bring him around, you know, he's not getting any younger. He probably, if he really wants to go to a play party and fuck while other people watch, and you want to go to that kind of party with him, don't put it off forever. Who knows? Like, carpe diem, seize the moment, seize the day, and now is the time. And if you've never been to a play party like this, it might help bring your partner around to going now and going in the shape that he's in. If he went to one with you, if you two went to one together with no intent to play, no intent to disrobe, you're just going to go to a play party where you're allowed as a couple to be there and hang out and test the waters and get a feel for whether you would be comfortable actually being sexual in public in front of other people at a play party. Because I think this would be a good strategy, because what you will see at that play party, if you go to a play party together, not everybody's an Adonis, not everybody's a size 0, not everybody is tan, not everybody is jacked. You will see a lot of average, ordinary, conventionally attractive people and unconventionally attractive people doing their thing while other people watch and enjoy the vibe that they're helping to create by throwing themselves into it and putting themselves out there. And so going to one might help your partner feel comfortable going to another one with the intent to play, with a plan to play, to actually play in the body that he's in now, the body that you love so much. And he doesn't have to wait until some imagined state of perfection before he fucks the shit out of you or somebody else while a whole bunch of other people watch. This episode is brought to you by Dame Products. We just found out that Dame Products can't advertise on platforms like Meta because apparently sexual wellness is still taboo, or taboo again. That just makes me love Dame Products even more. Dame is a company founded by women for women. Their products are designed for real people and rigorously tested for comfort, innovation, and inclusivity. Dame's sex toys are designed to enhance intimacy and connection, whether you're with a partner or you're flying solo. Eva, their hands-free couples vibrator, stays in place so you and your partner can focus on each other. All 4 of your hands, or 6 or 8 of your hands, free. You won't have to be adjusting that toy or all of those toys. Or there's Calm, a wand vibrator that's powerful yet super comfortable. Most Dame products now use USB-C chargers, no more hunting for a specific cable, and Dame's ultra-thin condoms combine protection and pleasure perfectly. And they have, and this is so important, when your hands get wet or loopy, their condoms have easy-to-open packaging. My listeners can get 20% off your first order at Dame.com using code SAVAGE20. Go treat yourself or someone you love and support the show at the same time by going to Dame.com and using code SAVAGE20.
Hi, Dan and team. I'm a 30-something gay guy from Canada in a newly polyamorous relationship, and I'm anticipating some tension with Valentine's Day coming up. My husband and I have been married for 6 years, but together for nearly 20, and we've spent every Valentine's Day together since we started dating. Although neither of us consider Valentine's Day to be a particularly significant holiday, we do have a few little traditions that are meaningful to us and that I look forward to each year. My husband and I have been open for the last few years, but I caught feelings and started dating a guy last summer, and I now consider myself to be poly and in a polyamorous relationship. Things have been going really well on all fronts. My husband and my boyfriend have met, and we've all hung out together a few times. Although they aren't friends independent of me, they do get along, and there hasn't been any jealousy issues yet. However, I'm getting anxious about Valentine's Day, like I said. My boyfriend has already asked who I'm spending that evening with, and I don't have an answer. I don't want to hurt my husband by not spending what would be our 20th Valentine's Day together, but I'm feeling the pressure to spend what would be my first Valentine's Day with my boyfriend and to demonstrate to him that he's not always going to be secondary for things like this. We're not in throuple territory, so unfortunately I cannot suggest that we all just spend the evening together. One thought I had is to simply tell both my husband and my boyfriend that neither of them will be celebrating Valentine's Day with me on the actual day, and that I will do something special with each of them on a different day that weekend. However, I also feel that's a bit of a cop-out and delaying the inevitable conflict. Further, I live with my husband, so I don't exactly know how I could not be with him on Valentine's Day evening. I feel like someone is going to be hurt no matter what. Perhaps you can more generally talk about time splitting in poly relationships, as this challenge does not only apply to Valentine's Day. I'm aware that we just got through Christmas, but fortunately I did not have to deal with this issue in the same way, as my boyfriend, husband, and I each had our own things and families keeping us occupied. Those distractions aren't present for this Valentine's Day issue. Thanks in advance for your insights, Dan.
Listening to your call, I got that feeling I get when I listen to an adult child talk about which of their parents, their divorced parents' houses they have to get to for Christmas. And feeling torn between one house or the other has a way of, whoever's house you wind up at, spoiling Christmas. Just it kind of taints it. It's a poison. Listen, you can do something with your husband on Valentine's Day and your boyfriend on Valentine's Day. You can do it with them separately. God, I fucking hate Valentine's Day. In addition to, because of the pressure it puts people under to show up at a particular time on a particular day in a particular way for a particular person in their lives, or for a particular person in their life if they have one partner, or for you, multiple particular people in their lives if they have more than one partner. I have more than one partner. You know how we solve Valentine's Day? We don't give one flying fuck about Valentine's Day, and we never have. Valentine's Day comes around, and we're like, oh, happy Valentine's Day. And there's some maybe small symbolic token of a gift. Part of my advice, my most famous advice for Valentine's Day for people who take it seriously is to fuck first. Don't go to dinner and have a big heavy dinner on Valentine's Day and then come home with chocolate mousse and chicken cacciatore and red wine in your gut and wonder why you didn't fuck while you got home and then send me a panic letter the next day. Fuck first, then go to dinner if you're the Valentine's Day type. And don't escalate. That's my other piece of advice for Valentine's Day. Don't outdo yourself in the first few years with gifts that get larger and grander, because eventually you're not going to be able to keep that the fuck up, and then somebody's going to read into the less significant gifts and the lesser effort sad news about the health of the relationship. So a small symbolic gesture of a gift and the same gift year after year after year. There's nothing stopping you from sending your boyfriend chocolate and flowers and your husband chocolate and flowers on Valentine's Day. Your plan, though, to not spend it with either of them because you can't choose between them, that's going to make everybody, you included, unhappy, because I'm not going to honestly prioritize my relationships. I'm going to deprioritize both of you because I can't give you both everything. Both of you get nothing on this day when you want something. No, either you decide with your boyfriend that you're going to make Valentine's Day Eve as significant a potential holiday as Christmas Eve is for many people. For adult children with divorced parents, they often, if they have the option, they spend Christmas Eve at one parent's house and Christmas Day at the other parent's house. Maybe you could do that. Spend Valentine's Day Eve with the boyfriend and Valentine's Day with the husband. But your boyfriend is dating someone, is dating a married man, a man who's been with his husband for 20 years. You expressed a desire to demonstrate to your boyfriend that he's not always going to be secondary. Your boyfriend is always going to be secondary. And he needs to eat that like a box of fucking chocolates. He needs to eat that. Your husband is your primary partner. He is your secondary partner. This is one of the things I hate when people pretend that they can have poly relationships without them being hierarchical. All relationships are hierarchical. Chronologically, your husband falls higher in the hierarchy of your relationships than your boyfriend could. Your husband has more of a claim on you, your time, your focus, your attention on significant holidays than your boyfriend has a right to expect or demand it at this stage. And if your boyfriend is there for you and is willing to date somebody, wants to date somebody, wants to be with somebody who has a husband, there are certain trade-offs. He may not be the focus of Valentine's Day because it's your husband's and yours 20th Valentine's Day together, and you guys have always done something on Valentine's Day, and that was baked in when your boyfriend made the choice he made to date somebody who is in an ongoing, long-term, committed marital relationship and whose husband comes first. And if that was unacceptable to your boyfriend, then he shouldn't have dated you in the first place, and you and your boyfriend together can strategize how to make sure that he feels included, acknowledged, he gets the attention that he needs from you, his boyfriend. But it's always going to be balanced against the attention and the obligations that you have to your husband. Now, there are certainly cases where people are in relationships where they've been married to somebody for 25 years and they have other partners, and the other partners, that they spend more time with them, that those relationships, the boyfriend as opposed to boyfriend-husband relationship, can become the primary relationship. But that involves a longer transition and more conversation and communication and consent than could have possibly happened in the year that you've been dating your boyfriend. And it's just really important for people who date people who are married to other people to have realistic expectations of their partners, of their boyfriends, of their girlfriends, and what is possible for them when they date somebody who arrives with all sorts of obligations and commitments that they've made to another person. If that's unacceptable to you, then you shouldn't date somebody who's married to somebody else. But if you want to date somebody who's married to somebody else, you are the secondary partner, at least for the first decade, and you just have to eat that like a box of fucking chocolates that your boyfriend brought you on Valentine's Day Eve. This episode is brought to you by Field. No more dates that feel like job interviews. In 2025, we deserve a space where we can show up just as we are, ready to meet others just as they are. On Field, you have the breathing room to explore your desires, think relationship anarchy, cuddling, being a brat, and find communities that share your interests. Think D&D, tennis, zine making. Free from ads and completely independent, this is the place that draws curious, playful, open-minded people, the ones you've been looking for. Field really supports people who are evolving in their sexuality. There's no limit to how many times you can change your sexuality, your desires, interests, gender identity. In fact, 62% of Field members evolve their sexuality, interests, and desires within their first year on the app. In a space without any expectation, you can feel free to find true expressions of yourself. As part of the Field community, you'll quickly find that people regularly practice honesty and openness on Field. Whether it's about the relationship structures you're interested in or experiences you'd like to explore, this is the place where you don't have to waste any of your time wondering what someone is looking for or slow rolling what you're looking for. And there's room for friends. Connection comes in many forms, and Field is a space for all of it. Whether you just moved to a new city and need a new community, or you're traveling and looking to meet new people, it's possible to find besties here. No algorithmic gatekeeping. The only person who can determine what you like is you. To honor the complexity of human desire, to honor the complexity of you, Field presents you all options and leaves you in control of your experience. Bring your people along. In life, we're not islands, so why should we appear so online? Field's new Constellation feature lets you link profiles with your friends and lovers, so new connections will see who you are within your social context. Start a group chat, find your people with your people. Download Field on the App Store or Google Play and find out why so many of my listeners are already on Field. And we're excited to announce that we are going to be partnering with Field to find stories of first-time adventures. Stay tuned.
Hi, Dan. I have a simple question with some background. The question is, am I being a hypocrite by paying the single woman price to enter an adult sex club? Here's the background. I am a non-binary transmasculine person, and I love to attend sex parties. In my region, they usually charge $50 to $100 for single men, $30 for couples, and $10 for single women. These establishments, at least the ones I go to, are LGBTQ inclusive, but they state on their website that they cannot guarantee that all patrons are LGBTQ friendly. They are only providing a place for people to meet and play. So in my experience, most of the patrons there are cisgender and heterosexual. And then, of course, there's also transgender women there. I'm often the only AFAB, a non-binary person or transmasculine person there. There's also a dress code. Men must be fully naked and women must wear lingerie. And you can pay the single woman price by presenting as a woman as approved by the hostess. So in my case, I'm willing to satisfy the hostess's approval to pay the single woman price. I acknowledge that the men I have sex with at these parties probably still see me as a woman. And it does actually bother me a little bit, but it doesn't bother me enough to stop going to these events. I am also treating these guys like human-sized dildos. So yeah. But the one thing that I do require when I have sex is that my partner must not use feminine terms while they are fucking me. So when I'm flirting and negotiating playing with someone, I will let them know that I don't want to hear things like, take that girl, or, you like that little mama? I'm not asking these mostly cis hetero men to see me as a transgender person. I'm simply asking that they don't use feminine terms while fucking me. So I was talking to a cis hetero friend and asking for advice on how to make these negotiations flow better. And my friend immediately wanted to know what price I pay. And she even said that if I'm paying the single woman price, then I'm paying to be referred to as a woman. I don't feel like that's what I'm paying for. I feel like what I'm asking for of these men is on par with saying I want to be spanked. Like I'm saying, hey, let's play, but before we play, here are my turn-ons and here are my turn-offs. I'm not dictating that they affirm my transgender identity while they're fucking me. So tell me, am I giving up my ability to be referred to or not referred to the way I want when I pay the single woman price? And also, if you have time, do you have any suggestions for how to make these pre-play negotiations flow easier and not scare off cis hetero men?
I don't even know where to start. Bothers you a little that these men you're sleeping with at the sex club hesitate to or stumble over affirming your trans identity when you're not willing to cough up the extra $70 to affirm your own trans identity. You want to be seen as the non-binary trans mask assigned female at birth person you are, but you are taking advantage here of a $70 discount and being able to wear a little something, whatever it is that you want to wear, and presenting to get that discount as a female-bodied person and allowing people to perceive you, including the host of this party, as the woman that you aren't for the purposes of getting the discount, getting in the door, getting the dick. I'm fine with that. Women are economically disadvantaged. Trans people and non-binary people sometimes have more difficulty getting employment. There was a study where they put resumes in front of people and some mentioned they, them, and, by inference, them being non-binary, and people were much less likely to want to interview people who identified as non-binary. It's going to be harder for a non-binary person to get a job, and you may have less money to spend on going to the sex club. So I don't have a problem with this. I just think it's really interesting because, the internet isn't real life and Twitter isn't real life and certainly TikTok isn't real life, but we've been treated over the last 10 years to so many videos of people just going to pieces because they were misgendered. And here you are inviting misgendering as a non-binary person. And of course, not all people who are non-binary who are misgendered in the flow of their daily lives take to Instagram or Twitter or TikTok to go to pieces. It's not a representative sample, the people going to pieces about it on the internet. But it is a thing that sort of conditioned all of us who aren't non-binary to just be a little flinchy about getting somebody's pronouns wrong for fear of upsetting someone or for fear of being the villain in the piece of the TikTok video or the Twitter post or Twitter thread. So that's why I sound a little like whatever the fuck about your call, but I support you for reasons it took me a minute to wrap my head around. Economic marginalization, you want that $70 off? You want to present as or be perceived as female in the context of this club because you want to get the dick. Now, if you were a guy, if you were one of my gay friends, I would say, girl, go get the dick. But I'm not going to say that to you because I don't want to misgender you right now. Dude, go get the dick. And if you have to wear lingerie and allow the dick at the club to perceive you as female to get the dick at the discount that you want to get the dick at, do it. That wasn't even your question. That was just how I bumped on your question. And I had to, so I could live with myself, say all of that, get it off my assigned male birth chest. The question, how do you negotiate with the men that you're about to sleep with how you wish to be addressed, where you've gotten the discount, you're standing there in lingerie, assigned female at birth, you have a female presenting body, you're perceived as a female at that moment. How do you tell somebody that you're down to fuck them, but you don't want any gendered dirty talk? Not you like that girl, anything like that. You want your they thems, then you want your they thems. You just say that. And if that turns some guys off, if they think they're not going to be able to do it, or they need to engage in that kind of gendered dirty talk in the context of sex with a stranger in the sex club in order to obtain and sustain their erection, well, then maybe you're not the right play partner for them in that moment. And it can be a magic sorting hat where you're ridding yourself of the guys who know that they can't trust themselves in the heat of the moment not to revert to language that you might find offensive, even though you weren't offended by the discount or hurt by having to pull on the lingerie to get into the club in the first place. So it's just a boundary. You're just saying, I'm not into spanking. You're just saying there's a certain way I like to have my breasts, if you have breasts, not making any assumptions, a certain way I like to have my chest area touched. And you can dictate those terms when you're negotiating a hookup on the fly in a sex club. And anybody who's can't just roll with that and keep that front of mind, even as they lose themselves in the moment sexually, is not anybody you want to fuck around with anyway. And if that guy talking to somebody and he excuses himself or turns and walks away, good. Then you were maybe interacting with somebody who's bigoted about non-binary identities, or maybe you were interacting with somebody who knew that in the moment he might say the wrong thing and he didn't want to hurt you. And so he absented himself. And that freed you up to go find the dude that you could fuck in that moment, in that club, in your lingerie, after getting your discount. Actually, when I zoom out to 1,000 feet, I don't think your problem is how to negotiate with these guys that I'm about to fuck. I think the sand in your shell, I think the conflict, the cognitive dissonance is taking advantage of the discount and wearing the lingerie. Because in that moment, you're not affirming your own gender identity. You're opting out of an opportunity to affirm your own gender identity by being stark-ass naked and paying the $100. And you're kind of projecting onto these guys who I'm sure are just down to fuck you however you identify in that moment, your discomfort, not with what they might do to you once you start fucking, but what you did to yourself when you showed up in lingerie and took the discount and presented as female for the purposes of getting the D. People have done worse things to themselves and other people to get the D. But you got to live with yourself after. Getting the discount and wearing the lingerie is making it hard for you to live with yourself. You might want to pay full freight and go Starkers. This episode is brought to you by Helix Sleep, the best mattress to rest, read, recharge, and have sex. Hopefully a lot of sex. All the best mattress things that you might want to do on a mattress, you should be doing on the world's best mattress, and that's a Helix Sleep mattress. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe Collection. That's ours. That's what we have at our place. We have several of them at our place, actually. The Helix Elite Collection, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids. To figure out which mattress is right for you, take the Helix Sleep Quiz to find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes, and your personalized mattress is shipped straight to your door free of charge. And with their 100-night sleep trial, you can try out your new mattress, see how your body adjusts, and if you decide it's not the best fit, you're welcome to return it for a full refund. Helix offers models with memory foam layers to provide optimal pressure relief if you sleep on your side like me, or models with a more responsive foam to cradle your body for essential support in stomach and back sleeping positions. Plus, enhanced cooling features to keep you from overheating at night. Helix mattresses all come with a 10 or 15-year warranty, depending on the model. And unlike a lot of mattress companies, Helix owns its own manufacturing facility. Each and every mattress is made by a team of skilled manufacturers and shipped directly from their facility to your door. And again, Helix offers a 100-night trial to test out your new Helix mattress and a 10 to 15-year warranty. Right now, just for my listeners, Helix is offering 27% off site-wide, plus 2 free Dream Pillows with a mattress purchase. And if you order a Luxe or Elite mattress, you'll get a free bedding bundle that includes those 2 free Dream Pillows, a sheet set, and a mattress protector. That's a lot of great stuff. Again, this is an offer just for my listeners. It is the best offer out there. Go to helixsleep.com/savage. Let them know the Lovecast sent you. helixsleep.com/savage. With Helix, better sleep starts now.
Hi, Dan. I dated a guy for 2 or 3 months. A year ago, last January, I ended things because he was like really falling for me, and I was just like, this is nice, but like wasn't like having all of the feels. And the sex was just like fine, but not like exciting. But I have just not really been able to stop thinking about him for the whole year and like wondering if I should have tried again to make things work, or if that would just end the same way and I'd be like torturing him because he was pretty hurt when I ended things. Anyway, he's since moved back to Canada, where he's from, and I'm like on the verge of sending him a text just being like, I still think about you. I hope you're happy to be home again. Is this a horrible idea? And he's just going to be like, why the fuck did you text me? Like, now this hurts again? Or is this just, it's like an okay, nice thing? There was like someone I feel like I was in reverse situations with some years ago. And I kind of feel like if he was like, hey, like, I still think about you fondly or something, like, I think I'd kind of enjoy the validation that it like wasn't just me who like felt strongly. I don't know why I'm even wanting to text him, but it is very hard to stop thinking about it. And I just drafted a text that I don't know if I should send.
What's the worst that could happen? You upset him. He tells you to fuck off. He doesn't tell you anything. He doesn't respond to your text. And you can infer that it was upsetting to get it, or he now feels meh about you in the way you once felt meh about him. And what's the best that could happen? Usually when we talk about low probability, high consequence events, I'm talking about my own worst case scenario disorder syndrome. But when you Google low probability, high consequence events, you get examples like, pandemics and nuclear accidents and terrorist attacks, lightning strikes. Probably not at great risk of another pandemic today, but we'll check in again with bird flu next week, or a terrorist attack, or getting hit by lightning. But if any of those things happen, they would be terribly high consequence events. But this is an instance where it seems to me there's a low probability of you reconnecting with this person. And if you did reconnect with this person, if you wound up in the same city again, maybe you would be in a different place. Maybe you would be a different person. Maybe he would work for you emotionally, sexually, in a way that he didn't when you met before. There are people out there in the world who ran into people they had dated and broken up with or been dumped by years later and picked it back up again and fell in love. That is a thing that could happen. Low probability, high consequence. So the world is full of people hesitating right now to ask somebody out, to reach out, to say something, to take a risk, to ask the dread direct question. And I'm just, these days, myself, and when I talk to my friends, trying to err on the side of doing the thing, saying the thing, asking the universe for the thing, and urging my friends to do the same, because it just feels like we're so walled off and inhibited and in our phones that nobody takes a risk. And the risk here, you do need to think about it. You could hurt his feelings. He could feel hurt but vindicated. Oh my God, this bitch is coming crawling back to me. Fuck her. And that may be very satisfying for him to get to send you the fuck off text. I doubt very much that, if he only invested a couple of months in you but was falling for you, that a text from you out of the blue is going to leave him curled up in the fetal position on the floor in the bathroom crying all night, even if it does annoy, upset, or irk him. But there's just this tiny chance that he's still carrying a torch for you, that he wishes you had given him more of a chance to see if maybe after another month or two of dating, you might have caught feelings for him. Not everybody moves at the same pace. Usually when we look back with the benefit of hindsight, like, oh, we fell in love. But if you can roll back the tape to when you were first in love with somebody, it's usually somebody felt it first, said it first, and may have even spooked the other person by saying it first. Sometimes people say, I love you too back, not because they're feeling it yet, but because they feel obligated to say it. But then luckily their feelings catch up to I love you too. And then they're feeling it. And then they just kind of read that back to when it was first said, even though in the moment. Anyway, I'm just crafting a massive rationalization here for you to go ahead, send the text, brace yourself for silence, brace yourself for fuck off, and live in hope of a positive, low probability, high consequence event. Sometimes a lightning strike, metaphorically at least, is a good thing. All right, time for listener feedback. First up, some of the comments left on last week's show in the very lively comment threads at savage.love. Says Joe Aglow, I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but I have to say to the straight male caller asking about trans men, what the fuck? He says he's looking for a person who presents as female but has a male mind to the extent that they're enthusiastic about dick. Dude, that's called a woman. All right, I'm tempted to play that Michelle Wolf clip about straight women and dick and gay men and dick, but I won't if you want to hear it. Again, because I've played it on the show in the past, just Google Michelle Wolf and I hate gay men. Says SF Mike 64 for the straight guy who wants his girlfriend to play with his newly discovered but not clean enough for use butthole. Dude, eat some fiber. Stop eating only fried food and meat, vegetables. are your friend if you want to play with your ass. You could also drink Metamucil like your grandma does to keep herself regular. And get a bidet if you can afford one. They're magical. And learn how to douche. But if you eat a better diet, it'll be a lot more fun. It'll also probably fix your hemorrhoids. Says my cat is cool. Dan, you said there are people out there who have boobs and vulvas and present femininely but identify as trans men. It makes me wonder, are there really though? Have they called into the show? Are they listeners? Maybe I'm really off the mark here, but my bullshit detector was firing on that one. Well, my cool cat, they are out there. They have called into the show in the past. I've also gotten letters from the partners of trans women who have pecs and penises and hairy chests and beards and present masks but identify as women. Kindness is key. To back me up on this, I have seen lots of these kinds of trans men on social media, writes Kindness. They often want to do more, present masks, start tea, etc., but they can't do so safely for a variety of reasons, or they don't experience significant dysphoria, so externally transitioning isn't worth it to them. All right, for more listener feedback and my responses, check out Struggle Session, which you can find at savage.love on most Thursdays. And now, everyone's favorite part of the show, mine included, the part where I shut my big gay mouth and my listeners get to have the last word.
Hi, Dan. I'm calling with a comment for the caller whose girlfriend violated his boundaries while he was trying to have some time after a fight and then said, well, I'm going to leave and go spend the night at my boyfriend's. And I agree there's a whole lot that she did wrong there, but I really don't feel like you touched on the fact that it sounds like their relationship overall is really unhealthy. The caller himself said that she has done that in the past and that he has violated her boundaries and that he's, quote, working on it and he's trying to be better about it. The fact that he felt the need to go into a room and lock the door, I have questions about what was going on, that it got to that point. The fact that she then picked the lock is vaguely insane. And I'm kind of wondering if he's violated her boundaries in such an extreme way as well. If they are so volatile that they need to lock the door behind each other and then they both don't respect that boundary, if somebody locks the door in your face, that's a pretty strong indication of them needing to be alone. While it's a good thing to be able to step away from a fight and take time to yourself, you should be able to do separate quarters without feeling the need to lock the door. And it sounds like they both had to do that. So I really think overall they need to examine whether this is a relationship that's healthy for both of them and if they still need to be in it.
Hi, Dan. This is a response to the caller who's the straight man, who is matched with the trans man, but was more interested in their female parts and seeing them as a woman. I wanted to answer to your response that this partner, this trans man, would have a hard time finding somebody to have sex with them not for those features. I want to disagree because I'm definitely one of those people who would be super jazzed to have sex with this person, and not for them as a woman, but for that kind of androgynous, mixed up gender, all of the things. That to me is super hot. Would love to have sex with them as a man with all those other parts there in whatever combination. I just want all of the pre-op trans men to know that there are many people who would like to have sex with you who do not see you as a woman, who appreciate seeing you as a man, who like it much better that way. Don't settle for people who give you more gender dysphoria.
Hey Dan, surgeon here calling about hemorrhoid guy in episode 953. You and your guest presume this guy was not cleaning himself well enough. It's way more likely that he is constipated and therefore has leftover poop in his rectum when he goes to play. Constipation, sitting, scrolling, and straining on the toilet put pressure on the veins of the distal rectum and anus and cause them to get engorged. That's what a hemorrhoid is, an engorged vein. Treating hemorrhoids requires good bowel regimen with soft, regular bowel movements. That sounds a lot like the advice that Dan Savage gives to people who want to have ass sex. So, the caller needs to consult with his primary care doctor, a general surgeon, or a colorectal surgeon. They need to confirm that this is actually hemorrhoids and not something way more serious, and they can then counsel him on toileting habits, stool softeners, and fiber intake. That will improve his bowel movements, solve his hemorrhoids, and hopefully help his future self-explorations. Also, stop using hemorrhoid cream. It just makes the irritation worse. Sit in warm water once a day. It's going to make your life way better.
And we're going to leave it there. To get us your question for a future show, go to savage.love/askdan, where you can record and upload your question directly onto our website. Or you can make a voice memo on your very own phone and email us your question at q@savage.love, or you can call us and leave us a message on our answering machine at 206-302-2064. And of course, comments are welcome too. Hump 2025 opens this weekend in San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle. I will be hosting opening night in San Francisco on Thursday and then opening night in Seattle on Friday. After the opening runs in SF, Seattle, and Portland, Hump hits the road. To find out when it's your town's turn to get humped, go to humpfilmfest.com, where you'll find info, tickets, and get to watch our PG-13 trailer, which was banned by Vimeo. humpfilmfest.com. Follow me on Instagram and Threads at Dan Savage. Follow me at Blue Sky at Dan Savage. Follow Mike Pesca on Blue Sky at Mike Pesks. That's MikeEPESCS. Follow Mike on Twitter at PescaMai. That's PESCAMI. And you'll find Mike's suite of podcasts, The Gist, Not Even Mad, and Funny You Should Mention, on all podcasting. And Mike's newsletter, Pesca Profundities, is on Substack. The Savage Lovecast is produced every week by Nancy Hartunian, and me and the tech-savvy at-risk youth and Nancy will all be back at you next week with an installment of the Savage Lovecast. Thank you for downloading, and happy Valentine's Day to all who celebrate.